So here are a few factors to consider for maximum success. And there's just a few really quick things that we can change the production of these trees quite a bit. A little bit about the pruning and opening them up in the middle, and then also see how the ground is exposed. Putting 3 layers or 3 inches of mulch, wood chips on these trees are going to make a huge difference. And then we're going to stack intermittently different types of plants and nitrogen fixers that will actually benefit the trees, the soil, and create a lot more yield over time. A thoughtful design. Soil health. Did you know that a handful of soil has as many microorganisms as there are people on this planet? So creating and supporting healthy soil is job one. Ground cover. Now in Florida here, we like to use mulch. Mulch could be wood chips, leaves, anything that's organic and that can cover the ground, because you don't want the wind and the sun beating directly on the sand. That's what creates desertification. Another technique is to plant plants that actually infuse nitrogen in the soil. They're called nitrogen fixers. Things like mimosa and perennial peanut. And I love sweet potatoes because you can eat every part of the sweet potato. Another important factor is the sun coverage of your property, of the space that you want to create a food forest. Some plants, like bananas and mangoes, which are right here, love full sun, and they also create shade for other plants. Some plants like dapple light or understory light, where there's a little bit of sun, but definitely not full sun. Plants like vanilla bean. And some plants like it shady, like gooseberry and huckleberry. And some of my favorites are longevity spinach and Okinawa spinach. Also, there are plants that we like to call chop and drop plants. Plants like Mexican sunflower and moringa. When their leaves fall, or when you trim them and you chop them, the leaves and the sticks go back into the soil and they help nutrify the soil. And then, of course, there's water. Do you have access to water? Is it clean water? Is it full of pesticides and herbicides? Or is it maybe expensive in your region? In fact, some regions, you can't even water your lawn because there's water issues. There are a lot of ways to capture and store water, and that's one of the things that we take into account in every permaculture, edible landscape, or food forest design. When you realize how easy, how joyful, and how beneficial it is on so many levels to grow food in your backyard instead of lawns, it will change your life. My friends often comment and they say, Jim, why are you so passionate about this? You're so driven. And yes, well, good timing. 14 years ago, I had my first of 4 amazing daughters. And folks, how we are using our Earth's resources is incredibly unsustainable. We are mining and destroying our topsoil. We are deforesting our planet. We're destroying our water sources. Folks, what I'm proposing, when we take just 30% of the 40 million acres of lawn in the United States, and we turn that to perennial edible landscapes, landscapes that take less maintenance than a lawn. They take no poisons. They're grown organically. When we do that, we change the world. We can literally reverse mass extinction. We can reverse deforestation. We can reverse cancer trends and diabetes trends and heart disease trends. The answer that I'm proposing can literally usher in the proverbial Garden of Eden. But you might say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the know-how. And all of these are belief systems that we will demonstrate to you are false. And we'll show you how easy it is to actually grow food instead of lawns. We'll talk about the difference between perennials and annuals. Perennials are plants that you can plant once and they will provide food for 2 years to 2,000 years. In fact, there's an olive tree on the Greek Isle of Crete that has been producing olives for over 2,000 years. So I'm going to give you my top 10 reasons to grow food instead of lawns, starting with convenience. It's so easy. And this is the number one thing that I like to relay to people, convey to people, that growing a fruit tree or a berry bush or a combination, a guild of plants that actually support each other is easier than maintaining a lawn. Isn't that amazing? Now, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, it's our job to inspire future generations to do this, to show them, to demonstrate just how beneficial it is. Let's consider the cash return on investment. If you purchase and plant a mango tree in your yard and you plant it properly and it has a normal yield, an average yield, you will receive hundreds of % return on investment annually once the tree gets to maturity, within 5 to 8 years. What other investment can you get that kind of return on every single year, just in cash alone? And what about disease and dis-ease? Now, most of the diseases that we face as a society today are because of lifestyle choices. And the number one choice that creates cancer and diabetes and heart disease is the foods we consume. Are they healthy or are they filled with poisons? When you grow healthy food in your backyard, you know that it's not filled with poisons. You know that it's actually more tasty when it is ripened on the vine, and vine ripened plants are also more nutrient dense. Nature has a way. Nature has all the answers. We have to mimic and follow natural processes. And what about food security? Did you know that the UN recently stated that we only have 2 generations of topsoil left? Folks, the food supply chains are in big trouble right now. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Ice Age farmer, but if you want to know what's going on with the food supply chains around our planet, please check out the Ice Age farmer. We are losing crops like we've never lost crops before. The soil is being eroded and destroyed and mined and poisoned at a rate that, even according to the UN and permaculturalists and farmers around the world, says we only have about 60 years, 2 generations of soil left before we're done with it. Now, if that were the only reason to take the pressure off the system by growing some food at home, wouldn't that be a good enough reason? Freedom from all of these ailments and diseases and diseases that I mentioned. Freedom from mass extinction and deforestation. Freedom for our kids to grow up in the proverbial Garden of Eden. Folks, it's not only possible, it's the most logical and easiest thing. It's the only way. In fact, all paths to lasting freedom as a society must include local, sustainable, regenerative food supply.